This is your guy, Anthony Mitchell, and as you can hear, we got something good for you guys today, and that's another episode of the End Zone Club. Whereas you guys that are friends and families of the podcast, you already know, but for the first time listeners, let me let you know. What we do here is we have conversations that are designed to push you from walking in potential to actually fulfilling your purpose. Today's episode, guys, I got to start this with that question. But have you ever had a moment where you had an encounter with someone that made you feel less smart in the end than when you first had contact? What I mean by that, recently, I think I shared this with you guys, but for my first time listeners, it bears to be said again. But I was in a drive-through window and got ready to place my order, and the individual that was taking my order asked me, "Is this for here or to go?" You're right, class should have been in session because, as you guys know, anyone driving up to a drive-through window knows that order is to go. But hey, I get it. We are living in a post-pandemic society where a lot of places are struggling, and as a result, with a lot of the experience being gone, customer service has been put at an impetus. Now, I don't know how it is where you guys are at, so I want you guys to check in with me and let me know in the comments or via email or just whatever. How is customer service where you are? Are you guys like going to restaurants, and are you having to wait extra long for your order, longer than usual, or things as normal? Now, I do know a lot of companies are experiencing growing pains right now. I even saw a thread in my city where there were 100 applicants that applied for a job, and 0 of them showed up for the actual interview. Out of 100 applicants, only 1 showed up. You know, that kind of hurts my heart because I was recently having some dialogue with some friends, and it took me back to a time and place where we started working 20 years ago. And a lot of what we consider to be virtues of our generation, which is learning how to work, were things that were passed on from the prior generation before us. And you know, coming in my generation, a lot of the boomers before us coming up in the 60s, people that had endured the civil rights movement, always taught us to be willing to go the extra mile and to treat every day like an interview. Even if you're on the job, don't get complacent. Always do the best you can do, because what you're ultimately looking to do is wherever you start at is not where you're hoping to finish. You know, a lot of the generation before us would work jobs 30, 40, 50 years, never miss a day of work, raise a family, grandkids, all off of the income of the career they made working at this singular place. Now, coming into my generation, times are slightly changing. My generation, a lot of us have sought upward mobility, so we start at a place, but we don't always finish there. We use each step as a doorstep. However, now it's feeling like that is okay if you're moving up, and what one opportunity or one place of employment is not willing to provide you, you're not getting stuck in the same quagmire of the prior generation. Now, there was a viral video on social media, and there was a guy that worked at a fast food chain. I don't know if I've got clearance to say the chain, but he worked at this fast food chain for 20, 30 plus years and never missed a day of work. And as a thank you, they basically gave him a bag of Halloween candy. Now, if there's no other demoralizing way for showing one's value or worth, you imagine your 20 plus years of never missing a day of work through all of the things that could have kept this individual away. They were there. Somebody saw the video went viral. Many other people began to sell. Guys like David Spade saw it, and I think gave upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 because everyone that saw the video felt slighted by what they saw. But here is one reality, especially for my young people. I want you guys to understand that even in this society when you guys now hold the power, where jobs really need you more now than ever to keep their doors open. I still encourage you guys to go the extra mile, to provide the best service for your customers that you can, because sometimes this linear relationship you have with people when you walk through the doors of any establishment are bigger than what you and the company have. And one of the reasons I say that is because even if you're at a place where you're not appreciated, even if you're at a place where you're not making a lot of money, I promise you somebody is watching. And some of the people that are watching do hold keys, whether it's from a word of recommendation, whether it's from being in a position to open a door for you for better. Always know that how you carry yourself, how you interact with the people around you, if you have a don't give a care attitude, that don't give a care is going to affect you as well. When it comes time for promotion, guess what's not going to care? Your money. Guess what? When you're looking for another opportunity and people are looking at your resume, guess what? It's also not going to care. Whatever you're chasing is what's ultimately going to chase you. And that is why I encourage you, treat every day like an interview. Don't take advantage of the situation just because you guys are short-handed. Don't take advantage of a situation just because you're the only person there, because I promise you at the end of the day, the way you carry yourself is the way you're going to be known. I remember when I was working at a grocery store at the age of 16, some of the guys that trained me to do a little extra. A lot of those guys would go on to become management within this company, or they would go to other jobs. And because they knew my work ethic, sometimes they'd come back, being in town, maybe whether college or some of the people that didn't go to college that moved out of town, when they would come back home for the holidays and they would see me, the first thing they did was they remembered my body working. They'd always be like, man, if you ever thought about moving to Florida, dude, I got you. I could get you on. We're making good money offshore, or all of these different companies. But what happened was they knew my work ethic. They knew as an individual what I brought to the table. And there was more opportunities that rested outside of what I was seeing, if that's what I was willing to go after. But it was ultimately up to me to control the part of my destiny that I can control, and that's having the right attitude. That's being dependable. That's being where I'm supposed to be when I need to be there. And that's providing the same consistent service I was taught to provide every day. As time progressed, a lot of those virtues I got from the grocery store have followed me through life. I still deal with people the same way in the grocery stores, from customer service, learning how to make eye contact with people, learning how to thank customers, learning how to respond to their needs and serve them. I still carry that foundation with me, and it has opened so many doors. Through that course of time, yes, there have been some dead-end situations. There have been some places that I have been very unenergetic about approaching every day. There have been some jobs that have literally sucked the virtue out of me for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I'm in a toxic culture. Maybe it's because I'm in a toxic environment where no one else is happy. But at the end of the day, it is up to me, and it is up to you to control the things that we can control. If you're in a toxic situation, see yourself only making that temporary. And in order for it to be temporary, start thinking strategically, like, what are some moves? What are some things I can do to elevate myself, or put myself in a position, or platform myself in a way where someone else can see this? How do I enhance my resume? How do I enhance my skill set? How do I make myself of higher value so that I can be of asset to what I want? Because at the end of the day, I don't know how anybody at even a young age can get complacent where they say, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. We see it. I see kids all the time, fresh out of high school, think, hey, I just want to work a little and make a little money. And I've talked about this in other episodes. But with each step of this journey, you're supposed to be growing. And as you're growing, you're not going to see life the same. What it takes for you at 17, what it takes for you at 18 to manage economically at 28, that should no longer be acceptable. Right? The music is banging, guys. music has almost got me ready to rap. But anyway, because I've only got 15 minutes to drop this topic, I want to move forward. But what started happening on the converse end of these conversations, that as some friends were coming back and telling me, you got more opportunity elsewhere doing other things. I bought my time, but there were also other people that I worked with that had settled for less, that were like, man, you work too hard. Man, you do too much. Man, I wouldn't do that. Man, I couldn't do that. You know how the birds chirp in your ear when they're already settled and they want you to stop making them look bad. You don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, I would have those birds chirping in my ear. So now I had a decision to make. Am I going to be like those that probably aren't going to do anything, or am I going to continue on this path? And I'm glad that I continued on the path and that I didn't succumb to the peer pressures of our culture, because I come from a culture where just a lot of people are not willing to make the sacrifice. And now all of these years later, it has paid off. God has blessed my wife and I to have built homes for ourselves. Now, I come from a society where I started off making $5.15 an hour. Come from a culture where you were either going to be a vice lord or a gangster disciple. Came from a culture where by 18 you were supposed to have kids, and by 40 you were supposed to be a grandparent. Came from a culture where if you couldn't read by the time you were out of high school, that wasn't uncommon. Came from a culture where many of the forefathers in front of us, each of us had people in our family that were addicted to drugs, that struggled with poverty and all of its effects. I came from that society. Yes, my parents were in the military, but I was not that far removed from a lot of the cultural ills that affected my society. But one of the things that got me not to fall back in that same trap was that my goal was bigger than what was behind me. And that's what I'm checking you guys today. Don't measure your goal by where you are right now, because there's going to be parts in every one of our story where we're going to hit some lows and it's not going to look good. We're going to lose motivation. We're going to lose sight of some things. But are we still putting one foot forward after the next to get to that point? I promise you, there's been a lot of days along this path where I've been up 12 or 14 hours a day working nonstop from one job to the next, my kids having responsibilities, my wife having things she needs, then there's unexpected things that have popped up, then you start having car problems, then you don't have enough money to do what you need to do, and it's like, oh my God, how do I make it through this? But I promise you that with the right platform, with the right foundation, if you're built solidly, whatever you're built on is what's going to come out in those moments you need it the most. That's why I'm trying to prevent you guys from walking down a road of mediocrity and give you the necessary discipline to be advanced. Because I promise you, the difference between the thinker or the person that says, man, I could have done that, and the person that actually does that is the discipline of the mind. It takes a different discipline for me. Let me give you a part of my schedule. So I get up every day between 3:45 to 5 o'clock every morning. And most days, my days don't stop till 11. I do this 6 days a week. And then the seventh day, the first day of the week, I go to church, serve in ministry, do what we do with that, and also have a full day. So for me, there aren't many days off. But yes, we do take time as a family to enjoy life, smell the roses, and do things. But when people see the things I have, or all the things I keep my hands in as a family, it's not because I think I'm so much greater than other people or because I'm looking down on anybody, but it's because I've got discipline and I want something for myself. And in order for me to get it, I got to push myself harder than a lot of other people are pushing themselves. If that means 5 hours of sleep every day, if that means reading books and not watching television, or feeding my mind, my heart with things while other people are sleeping, guess what? Your boy is going to do that very thing. But anyway, guys, I could go on about this all day long, but while I'm here, I gotta say, like, share, subscribe, and inbox this to a friend. Let them know we got a new episode out. And until next time, this has been another edition of the End Zone Club. Like it, love it, make it a part of your life.